Today, I want to talk about, I think, a really big piece of modern gaming and why I am not into it as much as I used to be into it. Today, I am talking about online multiplayer gaming and how I just don't play them anymore. Now, that's not 100% telling the truth. I'll boot up a game of Rematch here and there. I'll play some stupid Roblox game with my friend. I'll play a game or two of it. But compared to where I was when I was younger and where I am now, I mean, it's like night and day. I'm not playing these as much as I used to. And I'm just wondering if there is a correlation or any big reason why I stopped playing this game. Could it be schedule reason? Could it be growing up reason? I think I know the answer to the question, but I also like over explaining things in hopes of getting a coherent answer from myself. So if you like any of that or you think you'll like any of that, consider liking and subscribing. It will do me really well. I really like making this series. It's not scripted. I just get to speak my own mind about my opinions. I mean, I'm not doing any research on these. This is just my raw, unadulterated thoughts over a 15 to 20 minute video. Without further ado, I'm going to get into a few main components. I'm going to talk about my history with online multiplayer games. I'm going to talk about a few big games that I played throughout my life. Obviously, if I talked about every online multiplayer game I ever played, this video would be over an hour long, and I just don't want to do that. So I'm just going to talk about a few big hitters throughout my life. I'm going to talk about my peaks of playing them, how long I played it for, and more importantly, why I stopped playing that particular game. Now, for me, there is no better place to start than at the beginning, and what a beginning it was. The first online multiplayer game that I ever put a lot of hours into was Call of Duty Black Ops 2, and what a game to get started with. I mean, this is highly regarded as one of the best Call of Duty multiplayers of all time, and I honestly have to agree. I think it's the best. It could be a mix of bias because it was one of the ones I grew up playing, but it is just so good. The movement is so nice without it being overdone with, obviously, the advanced movement starting in Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3. Everything feels so nice. The guns feel nice to use. Everything just feels nice. I know I've said that like a million times, but it just bears repeating because you really don't know how good this game feels until you are playing it yourself. And even as an 11, 12-year-old kid, I loved this game. It still felt good to me, even though I wasn't good at it. Now, I'm not sure why my mom bought us Call of Duty Black Ops 2, but I'm not going to complain. We played this every day that we came home from school. We also had a mic, but I didn't use it at all. And I think this is the start of my thought process of why I drop some multiplayer games. Because it was all good, it was all fun. There would be some people that I would play with that we wouldn't talk, we would just join each other's parties and play. And I think, for me, that's missing a big component of what online multiplayer is. This genre is meant to bring people together, to have people experience a medium at the same time doing the same thing, in my opinion. The best part about online gaming is talking to other people online. Now, whether that be people you randomly meet online or a group of friends that you already have, to each their own. But for me, I was really socially awkward, so I could not make any friends online. So instead, I had to hope that I knew somebody from school who could play something with me. Unfortunately, that was a problem, because while all of my friends had the Xbox 360, the clear winner of multiplayer gaming during that time, I had a PlayStation 3, which I loved my PlayStation 3, but there wasn't a lot of crossplay at the time. So I couldn't play with any of my friends. I was just stuck with playing my PS3 at home by myself, maybe with my brother. But besides that, there were many times where I feel there was something missing. I couldn't talk to anybody because of my social anxiety, and there wasn't anybody with me. I was just going into lobby after lobby after lobby, and it drained me and it bored me. After a certain point, that game just wasn't to my liking anymore, considering what I wanted and what I couldn't have at that time. Now, to move on to the game that I have probably played the most of, it was a game that I was introduced to in high school when I first got my Xbox One, which, you know, people feel how they feel about the Xbox One, but I wanted an Xbox One so I could finally play with my friends. They all had the Xbox, jumped up from the Xbox 360 to the Xbox One. And I wanted one so I could play with all of them. I got one for Christmas, and the game that they told me to boot up, the game that I got for Christmas on that day as well, is a game that I wish that they had never introduced me to, and that is Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. Good Lord, this fucking game. Now, to put into perspective, when I started playing that game, I got the Xbox Christmas of 2017. So, obviously, I started playing in 2017. This was around the time that Rainbow Six Siege was in its year 2, I believe is where it started. All I remember is that the newer characters at that time were Echo and Hibana. We would play this game every single day after school. Even on days that I didn't want to play this game, I really had no other choice, because the issue that I was having with my Xbox, an issue that I did not have with my PS3 originally, is that I did not have a lot of other games to play besides the multiplayer games. So obviously we were playing other multiplayer games. I was playing GTA 5 Online, I was playing a little bit of Rocket League, but we were only playing online games because that's all I had time for. Because, of course, I was going to school at the same time. That's all my friends would ever want to play, would be those games. So I didn't have time for any other game. We would play Siege day and night. We would be up probably 2 in the morning on a school night playing this game. It just became really toxic for me. It also didn't help that I had a friend group that would get really upset at other people and would team kill them. I know, sin against humanity, but it is what we did back in the day. So we were playing that for probably a year and a half straight uninterrupted. And to say that I was experiencing a little bit of burnout is a bit of an understatement, I think. If I'm being honest, after a year or so, I was kind of ready to play something else. The issue is, I didn't have a lot of money, and me and my friends didn't really know what to play next. Luckily, we got to play my favorite multiplayer game that I ever played with my friends, and that's Overwatch. Now, I had known about Overwatch for a little bit before this, but I knew that I didn't have money to buy Overwatch, so it just never really worried me. But then, Xbox Gold, for a weekend, I believe, lets you play Overwatch for free. And we were like, hey, let's try it out. If this is our speed, maybe we'll play a little bit more, and if we have money later on, maybe we'll buy it. And if it's not, hey, at least we tried it. We played that whole weekend. We bought it as soon as they took it off of the free weekends. It was ridiculous how fast we got that game. And I get it. It was a complete 180 from Siege at that time. Siege was this more gritty, more realistic type of game, not as many kooky and weird stuff on the characters, especially as there is now. And Overwatch at that time was just the complete opposite. They never took themselves too seriously. They would have skins that would be more funny than anything. It was just a very nice atmosphere to play in. Obviously, I didn't deal with the chat at all because we were doing our own thing. But I just remembered every time we played Overwatch, it was just so much fun. And maybe it was because we needed a different genre. Maybe tactical shooter isn't helping, even though Siege in and of itself is kind of a hero shooter. But that doesn't really matter right now. And also the biggest difference with these games at the time, I believe Siege at that time was in the middle of Operation Health, which, again, at that time was not very popular because everybody just wanted the new characters to be released. Meanwhile, you go to Overwatch and you see that they are pumping out consistent update after consistent update. And not even just with new characters like Moira, Doomfist, Brigitte, all those characters, but with the game modes as well, with the story modes as well. They just had everything. For their holidays, they had seasonal game modes. For the Olympics, they had Lucio Ball. They had Retribution. They had Uprising. All of these cool side contents that you can do as well as play the game itself. And I think we really needed that. And we played it again for another maybe year and a half, a little bit less than we played Siege, because then I started college and I found myself busy with classes and busy trying to socialize that I really wasn't worried about Overwatch anymore. I would still play it from time to time, but a lot of the luster was lost by then, especially because Overwatch 2 was also announced maybe a year or so after I stopped playing. So this is really where I had my first hiatus of playing online multiplayer games. But it was because I wasn't really playing video games as a whole. I was worried about being a freshman in college. And it was a good time. I, would always go back to video games when I had friends over or if I wasn't doing anything on a weekend. But it never really took over my free time. That is until the second half of my freshman year arrived in 2020. Yep, my freshman year was cut short because of COVID. So I was back at home, didn't have a job, couldn't go out anywhere. What else was I to fall back into but video games? But I wasn't playing Overwatch like I was beforehand. No, I was playing something not new. I had played it a little bit before, but something that just clicked with me. Something clicked with me in the maybe 8 months to a year that I was playing this game. And that is Dead by Daylight. Now, I feel like talking about these after the fact, man, I was really playing some toxic-ass games. Looking back on it now, Dead by Daylight has a really toxic fan base. Overwatch, I think it's more now than it was back then, having a toxic fan base. And Siege also has a toxic fan base at times, I believe. But during lockdown, I'm not sure what exactly it was that Dead by Daylight started clicking with me. Maybe it was because I had a game that I could play with friends again, a different kind of game, because as I stated earlier, the other games that I was playing a lot were shooting games. Even if Call of Duty Black Ops 2 and Overwatch are inherently very different, they are still shooter games at the end of the day. And I think at the time, I never said anything like that out loud, but I was looking for something different. I don't think I wanted to play shooter games anymore. I was really done with them as a whole around that time. But we would play Dead by Daylight a lot to the point where I think that the highest rank, and this was before they changed their ranking system, so it was like the lower number you are, the higher rank you are. I believe I got up to rank 8 at one point. We were really trying to get rank 1, but it was a really difficult game, especially with people who weren't really good at it. We would lose a lot more times than we would win, but the winning felt like it was really earned. And I think that's what made the game so magical for me. Another game where I would be on it every day after class. So I don't got work, so let's just go ahead and boot up some Dead by Daylight. Now, after about 8 months, this was around the time that the restrictions were lifted a little bit. And while I was a little bit wary to go out in public, I still would go out from time to time. And I think it was that interaction with people that I really needed to get me off of that game. Because very soon after I started going out again, Dead by Daylight was deleted from my Xbox, only to be played every 6 months or whatever. And so again, I was a bit on a multiplayer game hiatus until late 2022, around mid to late 2022, when I was a senior in college. I had decided to quit my part-time job that I was doing up to that point. So now I had a lot more time to myself again. A lot more time to go to my classes, to do my homework. And of course, I wasted it all in a multiplayer game again. With this newfound time, what out of the pantheon of games could I be playing now? It was Overwatch. It was Overwatch again. Now, I get Overwatch 2, to me, did not have the same magic as Overwatch 1 did. It does not mean that I did not play the hell out of Overwatch 2. And I think that reason, I know why I started playing Overwatch again. I was bored. While I did not have the stress of going to work every day anymore, I guess I wanted something to do with that time. So not only was I playing a lot of Overwatch 2, but I was playing a lot of competitive Overwatch 2. Mind you, I don't do competitive games. When I was playing Siege with my friends, I did one season of competitive, vowed to never touch it again. When I was playing the original Overwatch with my friends, I hated doing competitive. I would only do one game of competitive a night. Dead by Daylight, it was already it's low-key already competitive. There's no designated competitive mode, so what you see is what you kind of get. And Call of Duty's competitive game mode was kind of shit anyway. So I was really out of my element at that time, playing competitive Overwatch. And it wasn't just something that I would do for a couple games and then go and do whatever for the night. I would be grinding this all night long to the detriment of my health. And that's another game that I can tell you why I stopped playing that game. And it was completely because of burnout. By the time I stopped playing Overwatch 2, I hated just about every facet of the game. And of course, by that point as well, I got another job as I graduated from college. So I had lost a lot of time to even do that kind of grinding. Now that I went over all of the multiplayer games that I used to play, it's easy for me to understand why I do not play as much multiplayer as I used to. And it's just because I will play way too much of it. I will start hating people. And a lesser reason, I don't have the time anymore. Obviously, that's a lot of people's excuse for not playing as many competitive multiplayer games anymore. I don't have the time to do it. If I'm playing a video game, I more than likely do not want to be mad at the video game that I'm playing. So what good does it do me to play a online multiplayer game that has the possibility of making me mad if I'm not playing well enough? I know some people like that. I don't, particularly, especially on days where I am not having a good one. So that, in part, makes me avoid playing multiplayer games. But on the other side of it, I know what happens to me when I start really playing games, how they make me feel. Even if I had all of the time in the world Playing a game that has you using that much brain power just for a slight dopamine boost, possibly, if you win, it's not good for me. It's a good thing for me that I stopped. Because I can play multiplayer games now and not be as focused on winning as I used to be. Or at least I tell that to myself until I lose a game of rematch and I'm quitting the game and throwing my Xbox out the window. Before I wrap this up, just to interconnect everything, I've been playing online multiplayer games for a bit over 10 years at this point. Not every game is for everyone, especially as you get older and you figure out more things about yourself. Online multiplayer for me as a teenager was fun because of the camaraderie that I shared with my friends. Whereas nowadays, I don't have to play the same game that a friend is playing. I can just talk with my friend while I'm playing a single player game and he's playing a multiplayer game and we're both having a good time because I'm not stressed over the online multiplayer games anymore and he's not stressed carrying me in those multiplayer games anymore. But I hope this all made sense. I hope you enjoyed listening to this. I hope that if you enjoy listening to this, you will consider leaving a like and subscribe. And I also hope that you have yourself a good one. Thank you for watching.